Warning: this show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewers' discretion is advised. This show may contain strong language and sensitive or controversial topics. We are not attorneys and are not providing legal advice. The views and conversations are our own thoughts and feelings, and therefore, purely speculation.
The entertainment world and beyond.
Skywalker air miles, feeding on a surface, gliding on water, constricted and conflicted.
Welcome to Purely Speculation, a show that exposes the harmful effects of the criminal legal system. I'm your host, Heather Lewis, the Executive Director of the Reuniting Family Bail Fund and practitioner of participatory defense. On this show, you'll learn about the unspoken horrors of the criminal justice system and meet fierce allies and advocates. We will make the best of our traumatic experiences. We will get angry. We may even cry. We most certainly going to laugh, but one thing's for sure, we're going to keep it real. Welcome to Purely Speculation.
When they free my sins and let them loose, they was killing me, I got scars to prove, got me paralyzed, I could even barely move. Out the way I took the pain again.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Season 3, Volume 32, our last court watching edition for Season 3. We have Scotty. We're waiting on Taria, see if she'll pop in a little later. But I want to first say thank you. You know what I mean? Through it all, you've held it down. You've been court watching and showing up on Purely Speculation faithfully. And I just want to say thank you. And I appreciate that and all of the support, not just for me, but for, the folks that get this information, right? Like you and I, we understand, we know what's happening, and we're here doing it so that, breaking the criminal legal system down to digestible bites, making correlations between our voting privileges and rights that people, our ancestors fought and died for, and how they're trying to silence our voice and how powerful that voice is when it comes to the criminal legal system, when it comes to healthcare, and even now food. Right. So go ahead.
The most important one that they've added to the concept, and I I appreciate you and thanks for the thanks, but I wouldn't be me if I didn't put my hand in it. I was part of this system that they call justice. They sent me away for 8.5 years for something that if it was done in Philadelphia, you wouldn't have got doggone 8 months.
Right.
But, we are the Scott family organization. We were the terrors of Montgomery County. We were the scrums of the earth. We preyed on the weak. We did everything that they could think imaginable to try and get time. So it's my privilege to be able to help people that I've seen that were in worse circumstances than I was in. I've seen people who were locked up. They had no home support. They didn't have telephone calls. They didn't get a letter. I had a guy next to me that hadn't got a letter in 15 years. Had no way of knowing anybody's phone number to be able to converse with anyone. Never had a visit the whole time he was there. So my thing was just capitalizing on him, how it must feel to be in that situation. And, I had telephone calls, I had family visit, I got commissary, the whole nine, and it still wasn't an easy run. So my thing was, once I got on the other side of that fence, if it was anything that I could do to reach back and to help people like him, it was my duty to do it. And thanks to you and participatory defense that I got that chance. And through that chance, we built the bail fund, and we still grinding. It ain't no work that has been done that can't be done. that we're going to
Mhm.
continue to do as long as we're in this spot. So I also want to thank you for the opportunity.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate the alignment. We didn't create participatory defense. That came from Silicon Valley, Raj Jayadev and the debug team, and Kier for having the wherewithal to bring it here, saying, "Hey, being a progressive public defender." The chief public defender at the time, and really bringing something like we talk about. It's revolutionary, it's radical, and it's necessary to be able to fight the system that is like the Goliath to our David, right? And to be able to start to see, you know what I mean? Like we say, if you got a dime or a nickel, no, if we got a penny for every time someone says, somebody like you, right? You even said, I wish I knew about participatory defense back when I was fighting my case. Every single person we meet, whether post-conviction, in the process, whatever, 10 years, 15, 20 years later, after they've even come home, when people hear about the work that we're doing and the work that the movement of participatory defense, they say, they never fails. I wish I knew about participatory defense when I was going through my case or my situation, whatever it is, right? And so I'm just grateful that we came into alignment, that, you know what I mean, you had the desire, because some people, they want, once they're done. Like, it's the system is triggering, it's violent. And it's a constant reminder, for folks of their own experience. And again, like, so people make light, and I always say how humble you are. People make light of how traumatic the prison is. You know what I mean? How violent prison is, how degrading and dehumanizing. And, we've been watching court this week, and just talking to other court watchers and people. Many of our court watchers are formerly incarcerated, right? And they're talking about their experience when they're hearing the cases. And you get three trays. Like you mentioned, you had commissary, you had family, you had money on your books, you had access to a lot of the things that other folks on the inside did not, and it was still difficult.
Yes.
You still, even though you had, I ain't gonna call them luxuries, but you had amenities that others didn't have. But anytime you left that block, right? Anytime you went for a visit, anytime you know what I mean, left the prison, you were subject to that dehumanizing, inhumane, degrading experience, right? Of leaving and coming back, and the searching and all of that they have to do. And so there's some things there's just no escaping. And, for law enforcement, to do a very poor job of investigating cases that people's lives are on the line, and people's humanity, and people's families, and the benefits that these people bring to our community get stripped away when someone is found guilty, despite a lack of evidence, despite a thorough investigation. Like, there's gaps in the investigation that, when we're here in Montgomery County, and your right says a jury of your peers, and we're watching a trial this week, and it is an African or Black American man, and there's one Black American on the jury of 12, 14 with the two alternates, right? One person of color out of 14.
And see, that's the other aspect of that Montgomery County, well, not up Montgomery County, all over anymore. You
Right.
know, we're locked up. Your whole family is locked up. So they feel some type of way when they get a letter in the mail saying, hey, you got to come down to jury duty. They don't want to, they run from it. They don't, oh man, I owe taxes. I got a parking ticket. They're going to lock me up. This is going to happen. They make all kind of excuses. But what our families don't understand is that we need you there regardless. Because if I have people of color that are on that jury, they have at least an awareness of what I went through, what can happen to me as a Black man. They have lived what I lived as far as being in that bottle that they call the justice system. So we need our Black and brown folks to, when you get that letter, to come to jury duty. We need you to sign up. We need you to put your face in that place so that at least when we look over at that jury, we see somebody of color and we say, hey, at least I got some hope. But when you look over there and all you see is a bunch of Caucasians, then you know that 9 times out of 10, their thing is that get him off the street, because I don't want him to come to my house. Get him off the street. I don't want what happened here going to happen there. So those are the type of things that we as a people can help each other when there are problems in the justice system, is come to jury duty. Get on the jury. Give us a chance. Because like Heather just explained, you have 11 to 1. You don't stand a chance. You do not stand a chance.
And let me add, so and I have to follow up with this myself, because I think I actually got called in to jury duty one time and I wasn't selected. Like I didn't even make the panel, like, you know what I mean, to see. And then I think I may have gotten 2 notices in the mail in my, I guess, 25 years or 30 years as an adult, right? So out of 30 years, I got 3 notices to attend jury duty. One, I actually went in. The other 2, they said I didn't need to show up. So, and I'm going to do this myself, is if you have never been called for jury duty, like you've never even gotten a notice, call the court. Because how are people not getting notices? How like if this is a random thing and it's supposed to rotate, and you know what I mean? However, like eligible jurors, right? I don't know what the eligibility is. You know what it makes you to be an eligible juror? Driver's license? No, you don't even have to have a driver's license.
You have to have a driver's license. All you have to be is free of any felony.
Okay.
And you are accessible to be called for jury duty. But the other end of that is, if I've been cleared and, you know, you had me in your system, okay, and you were supposed to, while you had me there, emancipate me to make me a better person, then why can't I serve on jury duty? Because who better than I to know what's going on? Because I bet you 9 out of that 12 that are on that panel, okay, don't even know anything about the law, don't know anything about what's going on with you in your prior life. At least when we do PD, at least we make a packet that we can show people who you are, that you're not an animal, because they bring you in all shackled up. I mean, your legs, your hands and everything, and they see you, and right away, they're scared. So 50% of them going definitely say, we don't want him out. And half the fight is already gone.
Right. And one thing you mentioned about eligible jurors is that when, they start to, they've got the panel and they interview each, ask questions of the potential juror, some of the things that I guess disqualify, and not necessarily disqualify, but have them, the prosecution and or defense not want them, is some of the questions are you, do you have family members that are law enforcement officers, right? Do you have family members that are, I don't know, attorneys or judges or police? Do you have a loved one that has been incarcerated?
Right.
You know what I mean? So anything that would do, like you just said, give someone an advantage, or not even an advantage, but just insight. You know what I mean? Just because I know somebody that, was incarcerated doesn't mean I automatically going to think that people are guilty or innocent, or, you know what I mean, without assessing the evidence, and people that, have family members that are law enforcement, people may be like, oh yeah, they might be just hard on crime, or they might have this, aversion or this perspective, and so, yeah, you get options to like scratch these people from your jury pool because you think they may have a bias. And so it's extremely difficult, challenging.
And the other end of that is that because, you have these people in your family, you automatically have a different perspective on what goes on, because a lot of time these people, your lawyers, your judges, your police officers, they bring their work home. And who better to run things by than a captive audience, which is family. So they hear all these horror stories about what Jack did to Jane and what Bob did to the merchant when he went in the store, and they tied this person up and all that. So they're already afraid. They're already scared of us. And all that does is put icing on the cake when they get called in.
Right. And allows for their fear and their bias to fill in those gaps that we spoke about earlier, when there's lazy police work, lazy detective work, that they're functioning in a way that they have the expectation that the jury will have that fear. They'll make those inferences. They'll make that leap, because that's what they do, right? Especially when it's people of color. They make these assumptions. They have these biases. And I'm just hoping and believing that, people have seen enough, experienced enough to not fall for the rhetoric, that is placed on people of color. And it's always, debunked when they think that Black people are the most violent, Black people are lazy, Black people are the most folks that are on assistance from the state, that we're not intelligent, that all this DEI stuff is because, they had to meet a quota and check a box. And all of that has been debunked, and so now it becomes, if you're still going along that now we're talking racism and white supremacy, right? But before we go into that, I want to read some of the responses from Yvonne about jury duty, because I know she's knows some of this stuff. So jury duty, well, this is just a statement of fact. Jury duty seems to randomly skip people of color. Whatever system they have in place seems to skip over Black folks. Yeah, we believe that, because like I said, I know it's been years since I've gotten a notice. But also, too, to answer the question about what does it take to qualify as for jury service, is to qualify for jury service, an individual must be at least 18 years of age, a resident of the county, and able to read, write, speak, and understand the English language. An individual must not have a mental or physical infirmity that would render them incapable of efficient jury service, or to have been convicted of a crime punishable by imprisonment for more than a year. So we have to clarify whether or not felony, misdemeanor, and the length of time between that, which would disqualify folks. from serving. So even still, it seems to jump over Black folks because I qualify, Yvonne qualifies, like a bunch of us qualify, and we're not getting notices to serve. And I, like Scotty said, we'd be more than happy to serve and can be trusted to render a fair and unbiased decision based on the facts. So yeah. So one of the things, so we talked about voting, and one of the things we was talking about, all right, well, where's Taria at? If she can make it, how are we going to discuss some of the things. I didn't want to talk about the case that we're following today. Just, it's too close to home. But there's other things that are happening here in Norristown, and things that are super relevant to the intersectionality of voting in our daily living. Our local municipal council, our elected officials, our district judges are elected officials. Our Court of Common Pleas judges are elected officials. We just elected 3 new judges just this 3 weeks ago, right, in the general election. Those particular judges will have a 10-year term, and then they're up for retention. So essentially, they will have this job for life until they turn 75, whichever comes first, right? And so different than our municipal judges, which are our local judges that hear cases from the beginning, from the moment of arrest. Small civil cases are heard, traffic things are heard, non-traffic things are heard at our district judge. Truancy with our young people are heard by our district judges. They are in our community. They are our neighbors. They are elected every 6 years, correct? They have a 6-year term?
Yeah.
MDJs, they have a 6-year term. They are not retained, or is that retained?
Right.
Yeah, for retention. They do not come under automatic retention. They have to run every 6 years to maintain their seat. Those are the ones we need to pay attention to. Those are the ones you need to pay attention to, how they're ruling, how they treat people that come through the system. Are they fair? Are they impartial? And if they're not, you can vote them out. But how would you know how they rule, how they perform on the bench, what their biases are, how they function, and you know what I mean, their attitude, their demeanor, who their allegiances with, if you don't see them? So the only way you can see them in their element on the job is by going and sitting in their courtroom and observing. You can observe every single MDJ at any point in time, Monday through Friday, when they have business hours, right? But also, and that's preliminary hearings, truancy, landlord-tenant, civil, all that stuff. However, unique to Montgomery County, preliminary arraignments, that's when people get arrested, are done via Zoom. If you want to watch MDJs preside over preliminary arraignments, please contact us. We will put you on our list of court watchers, and you will be allowed to observe these judges. They rotate. There's 29 of them. You get to see each and every one of them and how they engage with the public defenders, the law enforcement, which is the police, and the ADAs, and how they engage with the person facing charges. Please, please, please. That is the only way you will be able to know whether or not this elected official, this judge, is serving in a way that you think they should. And so, Scotty, do you have opinions on, I know you do, about voting and our judges and how it impacts, how it impacted your case? Was there bias? Oh, I know, Scotty. Oh, so then they can't, you know what I mean, have your neighbor who is your district judge can't preside over your case because they're your neighbor. Okay, well, they're everybody's neighbor. How is one case different from the other? And one more question, because I'm not sure if you heard Taria say this, and I haven't seen it just yet. but we have to inquire. Taria said that MDJs are no longer presiding over homicide cases, like that they've gotten kicked up. And I'm not quite sure if that's accurate. And if so, like, how did that happen? Like, how is that thing? Like, not quite sure about that. We could talk about that after you answer the first question.
Yeah, well, even the answer to that is that they're doing a lot of illegal stuff now. And it's coming, it's not the MDJs, it's coming down from Common Pleas Court. They're telling them what they can and what they can't do. And the problem with that is, and the reason for that is, that we have 3 people of color who are now the judges for Montgomery County, Norristown. So what happens is that because they feel as though too much is going on that they feel as though they can't put their hands on, or they can't implement this being done or that being done while you're in there, now they're going back door and making all these weird exceptions to what you can do and what you can't do. They are even trying to stop us from using Zoom for going into the courtroom, the court watch, which is illegal. But I always say they break the law to make the law. It's no one questions what they do because they think they're a higher authority. So they feel as though anything they want to do, they just slip it in. Just like we had for a while there, that the police officers, when our folks weren't there, they had the police officers telling the MDJs how much bail they want. The MD said, hey, I'm going to give him $10,000 bail, ROR. And they say, no, I don't want that. And they're allowed to voice their opinion, okay? And it's not what it should be. You don't get to lock me up and then tell them how much bail you want.
Right.
That's my decision as the judge about how I handle that and how I handle the outcome of what happens with you in this court. But they have gotten so flighty, that I could say, or so arrogant, that they feel as though they're going to override you because you don't know enough to be where you're at. So I'm going to tell you what I want. And if you don't do what I want, I'll go to Common Pleas Court. And that's exactly what's starting to happen.
Right.
Yeah, they're taking away the MDJ's powers. Little by little, they're stripping it away.
I think Taria, I saw that she was here, but we will keep going. And there she is. Hello, sister. What you got for us? I know you've had a couple of weeks to sit in on some things, and we know that the pagans have come through. We know there's some juveniles that have come through that are being charged as adults. We know there's what else? Crazy stuff.
She muted.
Yeah, unmute your stuff, love. Yeah, we can't hear you, honey. I don't know if we can unmute you on our side.
Okay, I got it.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, I said that the pagans preliminary hearing kind of went unnoticed. Didn't hear anything. It did not I didn't see that make the headline news.
No.
I seen the little young boys from Norristown, the corrupt organization in Pottstown. They were front page in the news last week, but didn't see the pagans. That's why I was kind of curious to what happened.
Right.
But that was down at the big courthouse. There was 8 of them.
What happened with them is that they wanted to keep all of them. They didn't give any of them bail except the one who was shot and had to be hospitalized. So in order to keep him from dying on him before they get a chance to send him to jail for the life, they sent him back to the prison, and now our taxpayers are paying to take care of him because they got him handcuffed with 2 guards 24 hours a day. Wow. Now, these guys got into a fight at the Wawa up on Trooper Road and West Main Street. Plenty of people in the store. They pull out guns and start shooting people. Firing up near the gas pumps. The lady said she was afraid. She was hiding behind the gas pump. She was afraid if they shot and hit the gas pump would explode on her. Okay. Now these young kids, they also have not been convicted of a crime. But yet and still, you put these 4 young black kids on the front page of the Times Herald. But these guys who wreaked havoc with guns and everything is on page 19. And I'd like to know what sense that makes, or what is the discrepancy between the two, that one would be on page 19 and one would be on the front page of a newspaper.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, Mr. Scott. That was a little weird to me. I should have asked Carl that today when I seen him in the hallway. But I haven't really seen. I mean, maybe I'm just not subscribed to his, but I haven't seen him. I haven't seen none of his stuff come across my desk lately. He says he's in there writing every day, but I don't know. Maybe it's a different news break. But I mean, Kevin Still's been putting a lot of stuff up on the DA's page, but I didn't see that on there.
No, you're not going to see that on there because it's because of people of color. We always get that first tinge of being guilty. And you're on the front page and they say that you had a gun, you did this, you did that. Okay. Then, like we were talking earlier, is that you're already 50% guilty. But these guys who actually shot guns, shot 3 people, got shot, okay? And you didn't hear anything about it because it was on page 19, okay? And when the shooting even occurred, you didn't hear anything about who it was who got shot, who it was who did the shooting, until 6 days later when they went to their preliminary hearing. And why do you think that is?
Yeah, agree 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, they say we come so far. They say that we have gotten more rules and regulations going in our favor. We have the best lawyers. We have the best people advocating for us. I just don't understand, if all this is supposed to be true and the justice system is supposed to be right on time, the justice system is supposed to be for everybody equally, how do we always wind up in the toilet? That's what I don't understand. Why are we always the ones getting crapped on? Why is it always they take one space for you and another space for me? We commit the same crime. We do the same thing. You get probation and I get 6 years. Why? If things are changing the way that they say the system is changing, why is it always we're the ones in the crapper? And we were in court, you remember, Heather? And I said, this justice system, I said, just doesn't work for us. And there was a white man sitting next to me that tapped me and said, "Sir, the justice system works just fine." I said, "Well, it sure ain't working for us." He says, it wasn't in place to work for you. That system is in place for us. He says, it will never work for you. And then who do we get? We get Donald Trump. And I have to say, yes, sir, you are correct.
Yep.
And it's funny because I'm on court at this time too, and I'm like multitasking right now. So I don't know why Shelton Hand plays with certain judges. So they decide that no, Judge Gallagher is on tonight. He's on call. And he told them, "I need you to remove him out the cell. I will not do arraignment with him behind no bars." And the guy said, "Well, I have to try to." He was trying to give him some like kind of excuses. And he said, "Well, you go to the back of the list, then I come back to you. You gotta make arrangements, and then you gotta, then I make you the last person then." But the funny thing is when Todd Barnes asked the one day, Judge Barnes, they hung up on him and called the pretrials and said, "We'll reschedule to tomorrow." Now, Judge Jones asked the other day, could they bring him from behind the cell? And they said, yes, no problem. Then the one time Judge Gallagher was on, they already, the guy that was on, I don't know if it's a different detective tonight, but he said, "What, you want him out the cell?" So the thing is that's another thing they need to address with all the judges, because if they're not all on the same page with that, Shelton Hand's going to think it's okay to keep on doing that.
Right.
Now Abington, they turn around and they always have their ones out of the cell, sitting on the bench to be arraigned. So I don't understand why protocol just can't happen like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a judge shouldn't have to ask you that. So the biggest thing that I'm seeing on these court hearings right now that is really getting frustrated, not just for, me and not just for you guys and not just for, now the ADA is getting a little frustrated and the defense is frustrated, but now it's frustrating judges, like Mr. Scott said, the lower judges, is this mental health situation, this level of care assessment. Now it's across the board that the level of care assessment is only due for substance abuse, nothing for the mental health needs. And then this building 50 is a joke thing because you got a 302 warrant, but the jails aren't committing them to the 302 warrant. They're keeping them there in the nurses department and trying to do the mental health assessment needs when they're blatantly need to go to a psychological hospital. So it's like the other day, Bree Helfand, the public defender, she fought for a guy to get the unsecure bail, which they didn't give him. They ended up giving him. I thought it was $500, but turn around, the judge gave him $2,500, but he had the 302 warrant. But this is what gets me is that they turned around and it's for attacking. Excuse me, 1 minute. It's for attacking his significant other. Listen to this, though. It's for attacking his significant other. But his significant other apparently called the cops to get him help, 302'd, because he was having a mental breakdown. They turn around and they get a judge to sign an arrest warrant for him, get him arrested, bring him in. And you know how it says no contact with the victims, no retaliation, all kind of stuff. But how about they had the victim go do the 302 warrant for him instead of the Hatboro Police Department just doing their job?
What?
And put the 302 warrant in. Yeah, I can't make this stuff up. This is why they don't want us on these court hearings.
Right.
Because too much gets exposed behind closed doors. And not only that, I seen a case last night where a guy got $75,000, 10% on intimidating a witness. A black guy. Now, this is a white guy, a Caucasian guy, that they had the victim go write the 302 warrant for. The black guy got the intimidation of a witness by intimidating his significant other that I guess he got charges against him, telling her not to come to court. But the argument of his defense attorney yesterday was they have reconciled and she don't want to come to court anymore.
Right.
So now he's sitting in there waiting to his preliminary hearing to figure this all out.
See, but that's the problem that we have trying to deal with this system. Because, like you said, she said she doesn't want to come to court. But yet and still, what happens is the DA's office tells her, well, if you don't come to court, we're going to lock you up too. And she said it was a misunderstanding. He was having a mental breakdown, and I just needed some help for him because I didn't want him to wind up in jail. And what happens? You come and you put him in jail. And then you wonder why we don't want to deal with the police. We don't want to deal with the police because these are the type of things that happen that shouldn't happen. He needs help. He does not need to be incarcerated. He needs some help. And this is what the MDJs have a problem with also, is because they do have some compassion that they're trying to, hey, let's get him 302, let's get him some help. And the cop don't like that. So then they step up and go to the higher courts and get this man locked up and don't give him no bail till his next court hearing. And then he's locked up 30, 60 days, and then he's really skitzing. So that when it's time for him to come to court, he don't know what's up and what's down. And then he's scared that if his old lady doesn't come in and testify, that she's going to get locked up too. And they got small kids home. They got a house that they're renting. They got a job that they're supposed to go to. And all that goes out the window because of an unpathetic doggone cop that doesn't like the narrative that he's been dealt with. So when the MDJs try and work it out so that these things don't happen, and then he's pissed that you're not doing what I want you to do. So it's always that damned if I do and damned if I don't that they get, and then they get a bad rap. Most people don't know that comes from up top. That doesn't come from them. Right. But most people don't know that, and they catch it.
And that happens, that exact scenario, Scotty, we all know happens more often than not.
Yes.
That is not a one-off, a two-off, a three. That is the norm. That is the norm. The one-offs are like some of, and I'll say this to their defense. Even Norristown Police Department, they understand, like, we're the hub for the unhoused and mental health and all these, substance abuse treatments and all that. We're the hub for that. So Norristown Police is extremely well-versed in all of that. With that being said, they still, because now they're frustrated because, and Taria and I went to Judge Andrea Duffy's DARA presentation or event last week, and that program is specifically designed to divert people with substance abuse disorders into treatment prior to them engaging into their criminal case, so that they can actively participate, get clean, and have alternatives to incarceration, whatever it is. So I'm going to speculate that with this new $22 million emergency mental health facility, that a portion of that funding that's being taken from the DARA program that is systematically working in real time, working We have made many referrals to that program and have worked with those folks to get people beds, post their bail so that they can find beds for people so that they can move on to treatment. And they are cutting the funding. So, you know what I mean? Like, make it make sense. Oh, because somebody's baby, they want to build a $22 million treatment facility when we already have a system that's not costing $22 million. That's working. Doesn't even cost us money. I mean, national taxpayers, because it's their medical assistance or their insurance that they're able to tap into and get them into beds. So it's not our taxpayer dollars directly from our county budget or Norristown's budget. It is their insurance that allows for them to go into these treatment beds from incarceration. But now they want us to pay $22 million because somebody found a spot to put a shovel in, hiding somewhere back in behind the casino.
No, yeah. But that's the problem. See, it dwindles down to who gets the dollar. See, here you're building a $22 million health center. So you say, okay. Now your cousin Harry, who is the builder, okay, I don't know how much he's going to make, but for $22 million, do you know what we could do with the mental health system here in Montgomery County?
Absolutely.
You know how many buildings they tore down up at the state hospital? Do you know how many could have been saved to do what they're doing now? And the other end of that is, if it was such a wonderful project that you're doing, how come it was done behind closed doors? How come when you said it, when they were having the groundbreaking that everybody's invited, but you didn't tell anybody where it was? How come you didn't tell anybody where it was? And when people showed up, you told them they couldn't be here. Why was that?
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, why? And that's my money. I'm a taxpayer here in Montgomery County. Why can't I be here? If you're using my tax dollars to build this, why can't I be here? No, you put out that it was fair to come, but then you knew that you're shaky stuff, so you didn't want anybody there. So in the back pages, you turn everybody away.
And see,
I
just want to reiterate.
The problem with that is we're learning too much and we're doing too much. So in other areas, what they feel as though is their private sector, as they call it, to do what they want to do. And now we keep chipping away at that private sector, putting ourselves in place, putting ourselves on the front line, putting ourselves in a position whereas we can help people, putting ourselves in a position whereas we have other people coming to help other people, and they're scared. They're scared.
Well, today it was a site today, I would say real fast. This morning on a preliminary arraignment, a lady that was Russian, Ukrainian, Russian, she didn't speak no English. And they couldn't get her out the cell because she didn't speak English.
Right.
So she was having a manic episode where the pretrial services took the phone over to the cell. She was on the floor, stretched out. The interpreter was trying to, speak to her through the phone while they're putting the phone up to the glass. She didn't make no kind of movement or contact. So the judge said, he was hot this morning. He said, and Bree was upset. She said, this is not right. This is not right. He said, I don't understand how she got arrested and she don't know a bit of English. Right. How are they arresting this person and she don't even know how to speak English? So she don't even know what she's being charged with.
Right. That's kidnapping.
Because nobody spoke to her. He said, I will not. The prison don't talk about something. They can't speak for building 50 and all this stuff. So the judge said, let me tell you something. That's what you got higher ups for. I mean, he snapped on the guard. He didn't mean to snap on the guard, but the guard was the middleman, and he was the one that was the messenger. He said, "That's what you got higher ups for. I'm not arraigning this woman. I refuse to. She needs to be 302'd, and you need to talk to your higher ups, and they need to do something ASAP. Or tell them to call me."
Right.
End of story. It's nothing else to talk about. I tell you, when we came back on at 2:30, she was sent to Montgomery County Emergency Services.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "This doesn't make any sense."
Yeah, like what's happening in the police department? Like, how? Why?
They're not doing their jobs. And this pretrial services, I'm not going to lie, I think it's a gift and a curse, because it's just it's basically an easier task for the police to not have to do their jobs. And it's like basically they're no longer have to really deal with the inmates down at their stations. So it's like basically like a daycare center. It's just a drop off.
Right.
Like basically they're dropping off the people. They're dropping off the people and just leaving them there. You know, and it's like they're even dropping off things that should be summons, like DUI and things like that. It's just a waste of tax dollar money, and it's an in between that don't have no resources. And I put out I mean, you call me a snitch if you want to, but
hey, no, it's not a snitch.
I surely did put out another message about the phone calls, because it was demanded by a judge that if you got cash bail, you make a phone call before you get booked.
Right.
They try to act like it ain't happening. That they gotta wait for a social worker to come in and all that stuff like that. Right. And as this judge tonight is reading, because he's one that reads all the charges and it reads all the rights. One of the 4 rights that you have is to make a call for bail after your arraignment. Not wait till tomorrow for a social worker to come in, but the night that you get arrested, to let your loved one or somebody or a bail's bondman try to post that bail. And it's not happening. So it's like, to me, the county is telling judges and stuff what they want to hear for the moment, and nobody's being held accountable for the stuff that's not being done.
And the other thing you're saying about this lady who is Russian or Ukrainian, okay, they were supposed to have an interpreter there, not on the telephone, okay? They were responsible to have an interpreter there, so that somebody could talk to her face to face, not on the doggone telephone, okay? But like we said earlier, they run it the way that they want to run it and say, oh, well, I had somebody there. And that's what they're going to say. Oh, I had somebody there. They were on the phone. The phone don't count. That face to face, like you said, she don't even know what she's being charged with. She doesn't even know, okay, what you're speaking, what you're saying to her. So you know she doesn't know what she's being charged with. And they know they're supposed to have an interpreter there on the spot before you even try to arraign that woman. You can't even arraign her without somebody being able to speak for her.
I wish more judges would stand up, push back, and do their job. And the only way we can hold them accountable to that is, one, hold them accountable to that. Taria, thank you for the job that you're doing and being there. And like I said, if you want to be a court watcher, if you want to watch these judges in action and see how they handle situations like that warrant them to be in that seat, you need to observe. Either go in person or hit us up and get registered to be a court watcher watch the preliminary arraignments, because that's where all this stuff is happening. But yeah, if judges just did their job, you know, we wouldn't be having these issues. And if you're unhappy with the job that the judges are doing, elevate somebody up to run against them. Right. Look at the local elections, find out where they're at in their term, how many years they got left, and you start to organize and prepare a candidate to run against them. That is where our power lies. That's how we see the change that we want to see. You know what I mean? That's just how you get it done. That's how they do it. I mean, how do you think they're in power in where they're at? they've organized, they've elevated they picked who they wanted, and they made sure that everybody around them insulated the process and made sure that person got through. That's how we got these through Court of Common Pleas judges now. There wasn't a single Republican that ran against them. The Democrats picked these 3 particular candidates. They insulated them in that process and said, these are the people that we want to elevate. And here they are. Here they are. There wasn't a single opponent to these 3 judges that were elected in November.
And
to the Court of Common Pleas.
That's what scares them, because no one would run against them, because they know that if we stick together and we do things in mass, we can get things done. And that's what I'm saying about the jury pool. They're not going to lock you up if you got a ticket. Nobody's going to lock you up because you didn't pay your taxes. All these are just scare tactics to keep you away, because they don't want us on the jury. They don't want a fair and impartial jury. They want to be able to run the whole thing the way they want to run it. And when I want somebody guilty, I put the right people in there to make sure that they find you guilty. So we have to stick together. We have to run. We have to try and circumvent the policies that they have in place, because they are not for us. They are not for us.
I know that's right. Taria, I'd like to do a moment of silence for Brooks. Do you want to kind of intro and lead us into that? Ange, I don't know if we have the flame and everything, but it was just kind of, it's been a busy last couple of weeks.
Right.
But yeah, Taria, you want to bring up the moment of silence for Brooks?
Yeah, give me 1 minute. This is an interesting case real fast.
Oh. All right. So while Taria is listening to this other case, like I said, she's multitasking. She is on watching the preliminary hearing or arraignments as we speak, and she's always doing double duty. She don't miss them for nothing. So we gonna shout out Ange, our producer. It is her birthday today. I found out some little sneaky guy hit me up and said, "Hey, did Ange say it's her birthday?" So it's today, 11/25. Happy birthday, Ange. She is the one phenom behind the scenes, bouncing us back and forth and putting up the quotes and comments from our guests or in our audience. And so again, while Taria is still doing that, so happy birthday, Ange. Appreciate you. Love you. Scotty, you want to give us your what the fuck moment?
Hey, I'm lost for words. And for the first time, I'm really lost for words, because I still don't understand how many people we've helped, how many shout outs we've given, how much literature and stuff that we put out, and people still don't think that we know what we're doing. People still don't think that they have a chance to change things. People don't think that if they put their mind to it and do their due diligence, we could do whatever we want to do. But we have to do it together. We have to start doing things in mass and start. One person has something here, one person has something here, another person has something there, instead of joining all 3 of those pots together, okay, to make gumbo. Let's do this. Let's do this.
My what the fuck moment, and I kind of touched on it earlier, as we watch criminal proceedings, trials, hearings, things of that nature, the obvious lack of professionalism and I don't even know if accountability, but like to not investigate every aspect of a case. We have detectives that, ignore evidence, or withhold evidence because they didn't think it was relevant, because they didn't, you know what I mean? And it's like, nobody asked you your opinion. You're the detective. You are to collect as much evidence as you can, and you turn it over to the prosecution and the defense. I think it's pretty simple to do your job. So if you gathered the evidence, it is your job to turn it over prior to trial, prior to the hearing. It's called discovery, right? And that should be a part of the discovery. And then it's the job of the attorney, the prosecution, and or defense to decide whether they want to use it, whether it's beneficial, this, that, and the third. Like, that's their job to decide for their client or for their case if this evidence is relevant. So where detectives get, and like you said, the police are dictating to the judges what types of bail they want to assign, the alleged, the defendant. We've got detectives that are sitting alongside ADAs during trial who knowingly have withheld evidence. And I'm like, what the fuck? How is somebody to get a fair trial when the detective has access to all of the evidence and has chosen to only send over partial evidence? And then neglect to say that they didn't follow through on other leads. So they picking and choosing what leads they follow up on, what they think is relevant to the case, instead of doing a thorough job, which is their job.
And that's funny. That's funny that you just said that. So the case I was looking at is, I guess, the big argument, they were going back and forth because I guess a search warrant happened at a home, but they were trying to bring in evidence that is, I guess, allegedly going to be eventually against him. And see, that's the thing that they do a lot on here that I don't think that really should be open to the public. If you're going to especially seal something, like, you're speaking upon existent things that is probably going to come this person's way. But it's not, like the attorney just said, but that's not on paper right now.
Right.
You're going off of possible alleged charges coming. Mm-hmm. But if that, just like they got a search warrant to go in the house, like she just said, like they got a search warrant to go in the house, didn't get a search warrant now to charge him with the charges.
Right. Yeah. This ain't what's the movie with Tom Cruise when they were predicting people's crimes.
Yeah. So the detective says that his outfit that he had on today when he got arrested was $5,000. So he has means of money. So that means he has money. It's a young black man. And he put up his arms on the thing like, what? And Bree came back with, are you serious? Like, that's an assumption to him having. You believe that cost $5,000? It might have been a $5,000 outfit. I don't know. You know what I mean? But that don't mean he paid $5,000 for it.
Right.
Could like
hand-me-down, could have been a gift, could have been a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so this is why they wanted high bail.
Who said it's even?
So they wanted high bail.
It's a fake.
They got it though. They got what they wanted. They got $250,000 on allegations that's alleged coming, and because he had a $5,000 outfit on. Wow, I didn't know it goes that deep. So let me tell you. So Cheltenham did another smooth one. They just did. See, when they don't like, I told you, when they don't like them people coming behind them bars, they always play like they don't got no staff. They just called and said they're going to rain them tomorrow because they're low manpower.
So tomorrow, when you watch them, will they be behind bars?
Yeah, because every judge don't do it.
Right. So I mean, And the judge can the PDs ask, like, who is it only the judge that can ask them to bring them from behind the bars? Like, I would know, because Bree is always there. If they said we're going to arraign them tomorrow because we'll have staff, I would be like, okay, why are they still behind bars? If you couldn't do it last night, you postponed them till today, and they're still behind bars.
Yeah.
Who can ask that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. But I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're not going to have them behind bars tomorrow. They're going to take them up to the county tonight so they can be arraigned tomorrow morning in front of the county. That's what they did last time. When Tom Barnes asked them, when Judge Barnes asked them to bring him out, they said they hung up on him. This didn't get a hang up. This just got and they called pre-trials and they said, oh, we're just arraigning them tomorrow. So that means you're sitting somebody in jail for another day because you don't want to take them out of a cell for a 5-minute hearing?
Right. And then the question now is, what's going on in Cheltenham Township Police Department that they're so short-staffed?
Exactly.
I would think that would be a safety concern. So whoever is the council people or the leadership over there, they're so short-staffed this all the time, this consistently.
That's excuse. That's excuse, and it's sad. But yeah, so I would just like to just say that we definitely gonna miss Brooke Bug Jr. Brooke was a Mr. Norristown, as they call him. He was well known in the streets. He was well known at the hospitality center. And, he had his battlements with the legal justice system. He was well known with them also in the mental health world. To know Brooke was to love him. Even beyond, some of the issues that he struggled with, he still was a good person, kind-hearted, loving, and still would give his shirt off his back if he could. Right. It's just an unfortunate situation that he's not here anymore with us. My thoughts and my prayers go to my family, goes to his mother, goes to his father, goes to his siblings, goes to his grandmother, his aunts, his uncles, his cousins, and anybody else, friends that loves him dearly, and especially the hospitality center and how good the caseworker, Mr. Mike, was to him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also the PD judge, George Griffin. George loved Brooke. And he's definitely going to be missed. Church Street's never going to be the same. Hospitality's never going to be the same.
Right.
Willow Street's never going to be the same. The Cobb Street in front of the smoke shop is not going to be the same. It's going to be real different without seeing Brooke out there.
Right. Do we have service information?
Don't have the service information yet, but I do know that donations are being taken by his father's wife, and I believe his father at 1211 Willow Street, Norristown, PA, 19401. And it is a Cash App and a Cash App and Apple Pay, I believe. But if anybody wants to donate, they can hit up Brooke Bug Senior via Facebook and DM him for his Cash App or information. And then what's the name? Hold on 1 minute.
And when we have that information, we'll post it on our Facebook page. I know there was some Facebook messages about Brooke out there on social media. So if you want to share it with us, share it so that we can share it out on our Facebook page and just show his family some love and get that information out there. I'm not sure what happened to Scotty. He was calling me. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if, what happened to Scotty. And Taria's got some stuff on.
I'm sorry, I'm talking to the judge about that Cheltenham thing real fast.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so he lost connection. I think he's going to try and get back on. So in the meantime, while Taria is doing that, we definitely want to shout out Scotty for him being our guest last 2 weeks ago. If you want to hear more about his story and the legend, and actually check out his brother's book. I don't have the Tales from the Holler or something like that it's called, to learn more about the history of Norristown and the man behind the legend, who's Scotty Taggs. And he gave you a little bit of his story tonight about how his incarceration impacted him and wanting to give back and support others who are going through the system, so that they're not going it alone and can actually understand what's happening in the process. And we just encourage anybody else who has a story to tell. You want to tell your story and be on the podcast, we would love to have you. We are planning season 4. So we want to keep it rolling and keep doing what we do to get this information out to people and help our young people, share it with our young people, so while they're out here doing things like this, the system. Taria had mentioned Carl Hessler. He is the court reporter. He is the man that goes around to all the different courtrooms and sees what's going on and reports back. He is the one who's which is not illegal, putting the pictures of juveniles in the paper along with their charges, because the law says he can. So we just can push back in any way we can, at any juncture that we can. Taria doing her thing because she gonna let them have it, and I'm excited or curious to hear what that looks like, what the pushback is. Because I'm like, all right, now it's time to reach out to people over in Cheltenham and be like, what's up with y'all police department, that they're so short staffed that they cannot bring defendants out of the jail cells for their arraignments. And this is how organizing works. This is how advocacy works. This is how you get things done. This is how you get things changed. You hold people accountable, that, okay, because they're getting along, they're going along like nothing's wrong, nothing's happening, because nobody's said anything. And we've said it on this podcast multiple times for multiple months that this is what's happening in Cheltenham. And so either nobody's listening to this podcast, nobody cares, nobody sees the correlation of why this is wrong, and it's not wrong until it happens to your loved one, and that your loved one is arraigned behind bars, that gives the perception that this person is guilty, that they're in jail. So clearly they must have done something wrong, instead of being able to sit at a desk or sit at a table and face your accuser, hear the charges, read against you, and present a case or have an opportunity to post your bail without having to go to the county. And these are all our civil rights, our civil liberties, according to the Constitution, that are being violated by some of these court actors. One in particular, Cheltenham Police Department. And there he is. Because I was going to say, I'm going to keep talking. Y'all going to get tired of me. Because Taria's over there investigating the issue with the Cheltenham Police Department. You familiar with Cheltenham? You have any opinion on how Cheltenham Police Department is so short-staffed for so long that they can't bring out a defendant from behind the cage?
They can if they want to. They just don't want to. That's one of those racist little spots on Bliv that keeps us biting at the bit to get things done in that township.
Right.
And the NAACP does a good job of checks and balances on them, but they always seem to be able to get something stuck in us.
Right. Well, then it sounds like we need to shoot an email to the NAACP president if they have a a person that has, or an arm that does like criminal justice work. You know, I don't know if there's a department or area.
Now, what needs to happen is we don't need to shoot anything. We need to go there. We need to be able to do dialogue with the president and get things firsthand.
Okay. Well, we will do that, and you know what I mean, be about it. We ain't just talking about it. We're gonna be about it. Like you said, we're gonna show up. Right. We'll go over there and have a meeting.
Right.
Do you have any words that we gave moment of silence for Brooks? Do you have any words, or you want to share your experience with Brooks Bug?
Everybody talks about Brooke like he was this maniac, but believe it or not, Brooke had good sense, okay? And a lot of y'all who thought he was this and thought he was that, y'all got played. Brooke had good sense. When he needed to do what he needed to do, he needed to talk what he needed to talk, he expressed himself very well. Very
right.
And he knew how to pick and choose the people that he wanted to get over on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brooke was a good guy. He just couldn't get it together. He gets so far, and then one of these cops or one of these people on the street do something to him, and they push him 5 steps back. That was the thing that I kept trying to tell him. You know, you're playing in that pool, but you're playing one against many. And that was the one thing that he didn't grasp, because he go at you, how many of you, he's going to go at you. And to an extent, you know, we're here with this.
Mm-hmm. And I think you said something, you know, that is really telling. Not that Brooks knew who he wanted to get over on or not, but that people looked at him, they made a judgment about him, and any interaction that they had with him was based on that judgment, accurate or not, right? And like you said, most of the time it was inaccurate. But that perception also goes to people that are incarcerated, right? People that are incarcerated, they got complaints. Don't nobody believe them. Exactly. Don't nobody listen to them. If we don't have Taria on that arraignment, and somebody said, you know, once they got out of their system and said, guess what? They arraigned me and I was behind bars. We'd be like, what? We would believe them. But the average person, or you take that to a commissioner, or you take that to a, you know, maybe an NAACP member, or you take that to, you know what I mean, the chief, police chief, they'd be like, no, we didn't. No, we don't. No, we didn't. Or that was just that one time. He was the only one. You know what I mean? They'll make excuses and all this and that to justify not believing somebody because they have a criminal record or they had gone through this system. You know what I mean? And it's like, we need to stop doing that. Stop dismissing people with mental health, people with substance abuse. You know what I mean? It may not always be the right time and the situation, right? The situation might have happened 3 days ago, not 3 years ago. You know what I mean? When somebody's telling the story and it's like, okay, give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's investigate, do your job, figure out what's going on before you start charging people and creating more harm than good. When you talked about, you know, Brooks been locked up several times. You know what I mean? He doesn't get stabilized in incarceration. He decompensates. Every person that we know that has been incarcerated due to a mental health crisis has destabilized. They have decompensated from all of the things because they don't have their wraparound services. They don't have the proper meds. They don't have their routine. They don't have the people in their space that's, helping them manage and navigate and, keep their sanity, so to speak, grounding them. We've said time and time again, the system is violent. It does not care. It does not pay attention to any of the signs or symptoms that somebody is struggling and really needs help and not incarceration. And, I think the powers that be, and this again, to the defense of the police department, I think they too are frustrated. I think they're looking for answers and they know that locking people up is not the answer, but they don't know what else to do. They don't know how to help the situation or what have you. Yeah.
We have to understand that they're not counselors. They're not a drug counselor or a mental health counselor. So they're just like us. That's their job. And they don't want to dive into what's wrong with you, why something is wrong with you, why you're acting like this. They don't care nothing about that.
Right.
And the ones that do, are far and few in between. That's not my job. My job is to lock you up. That's all I know. I don't know nothing about no mental health. I don't know nothing about no drug and alcohol counseling. That's not my job.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. So, in lieu of staying on here for 2 hours, because it's we've been on here for a little bit, we are gonna report back. We'll do a little clip and see what Taria comes up with the Cheltenham Police Department not bringing defendants out of the jail cell, out of the cage for their arraignment to be processed, and we'll update y'all at a later date. So until then, we're gonna get out of here. It's been a long week, and it's only Tuesday, and we will catch y'all on the flip side. Happy holidays. See y'all next year. Scotty, I love you. Appreciate you. Taria, she knows I love and appreciate her. We'll see y'all.
Thanks for being part of our show.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Purely Speculation. If you learned something, share something. Please like, follow, and share this show. The more our communities know, the more they are empowered, and the faster we can create change. Purely Speculation would not be made possible without the generous support of the Community Justice Exchange, the Health Sparks Frank E. Boston Black Justice Fund, Philadelphia Foundation, and Reform Alliance. Thank you. Booyah.
Intuition different, already lived and dreamt it. Visions make my vision clear as I'm jogging through this fog of life. I be fog lights with the fog set, body and I'm all set. Baby, can you be my Cardi B on an offset?